You are watching where the voice of higher education is always what we sound here on AAU Talks, right from the Association of African University Television. My name is Agyeifi Mensah, and you're welcome to this special edition right from the campus of the Cape Coast Technical University. And you bear with me that there is this the evolution of education and the infusion with STEM or STEAM education is starting to play, something to play with because of what it offers students with its project-based ability. So you can also analyze intuitions, also create solutions from your own intuition. And that is where we have this discussion, try to highlight STEM or STEAM education as a panacea for socio-economic development. And I have with me one of the advocates that I hold so much high esteem because he is a very known in this area of technology innovation and how that can contribute to socio-economic development. I'll let you know who he is. He's right here in the CCTU, and then I'll tell you more about him when we come for the break, and then we'll switch to the discussion. Stay with us. Welcome back on AAU Talks and the Voice of Higher Education in Africa. I'm joined by Dr. Stephen Agyeifi Mensah. He is the Dean for the Graduate School here in CCTU and also Senior Lecturer at the Department of Building Technology. Doc, you're welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you very much.
Great. So it is inevitably the fact that STEM or STEAM education contributes a lot to socio-economic development. But the question is how, and how is it deployed in this case? So this is where you're here to give us responses. How should we appreciate STEM or STEAM education as the panacea for socio-economic development in a place like Africa?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I should begin from what STEAM is, maybe for purposes of our audience. Yes, it's actually an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then education, which went on for some time, and it became necessary to bring in arts for reasons that I think we shall discuss as we go. So, I mean, that is basically the definition for STEM. But it is by definition, an approach to teaching and learning, okay, which seeks to deal with the traditional problem of how remote what we learn in science is from the practical applications in society. Yeah, you understand?
Yes.
So, yes, whether science, technology, or I mean, whichever it is. And perhaps to give a good example for us to be able to understand. Okay, so when we go to, I mean, if you do science at maybe at the senior high school, you do chemistry, you do physics. Okay, now chemistry is, I mean, physics, we say that physics focuses on studying the interaction between matter and energy. And then we also study chemistry, which is to look at the composition, the nature and the composition of matter. So that is the science. But the whole idea of this is supposed to be able to apply this to solving real life problems. Yeah. And that is what makes me like what definition we have for engineering. Somebody defined it as harnessing the forces of nature to do the work of man. So in physics, we study various forces. I mean, electrical, mechanical, in various forms of them. And then, of course, in chemistry, we learn chemical energy. But the difficulty is, at that point, I mean, and in a way that most of us were taught in some time back, there seemed to have been some disconnect between this knowledge and indeed how useful it is for practical life, I mean solutions to the problems that we have, you know. So STEM actually is come to break that connect or to remove that disconnect and to ensure that what our learners, you know, what learners are given really bears upon, directly or indirectly, upon the problems that we have in society. And I think that for Africa, STEAM indeed looks like the panacea, because we have so many problems that we require technology, we require engineering to be able to solve. You understand? Maybe from our infrastructure to our health services to even education. Okay, and STEM stands in various ways to, to be able to help us produce the thinkers, produce the producers, to produce the manufacturers that will take us to if you like, the agenda 2063 that Africa we are working towards.
One would say it was just a literal left off with the arts, and therefore when STEM was introduced, because we felt like the arts was irrelevant, we had to find a way to institute the arts in the whole STEM composition, trying to have a STEAM given a relevance.
Yes.
But from your point of view, do you find the arts as also playing a very key role? Do they have a stake in ensuring that Africa's economy is buoyant as we want it to be, with STEM and arts in the same pool?
Okay, so yes, I think the incorporation of the arts is very, very critical, because art look at the beauty in nature. You understand? Arts is about self-expression. You understand? And arts, and all this comes out of creativity. You understand? So yes, if you will be creative, then you need to be somebody that, if you like, appreciates the beauty in nature. And maybe let me just use, for example, how architects look at a building. Yes, a building must stand, and so it must have strength. You understand? A building must be functional in terms of it must meet the purposes for which we have built it.
Yes.
Whether by the way we have arranged spaces, by the way we have connected them, the form and those kind of things. But a building must also have beauty. You understand? And I think that is the beauty that makes a place like, let's say, Dubai, an attraction. So the engineering people have done their work, the technology people have put the construction together, but it is the beauty dimension, which an architect will call aesthetics. It is that one that is really attracting people to come and bring the tourist inflow. Are you getting that? So that is it. And so it takes the arts to bring in the creativity that will actually let us appreciate the beauty in nature and to enjoy the things that we produce. So I think the arts is as relevant as the engineering or the technology in the equation.
I told you always learn something new when you have sit with Dr. Stephen Agyeifi Mensah, and now you have to appreciate the art in the whole STEAM equation. So let's take a quick turnaround. When we come back, we'll now look more on how we can operationalize the whole STEAM composition, they all being fine-tuned together in the African context all the way to development. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Great welcome to you on the AAU Talk Show. We just did a quick turnaround all around the STEM and STEAM agenda as panaceas towards the socio-economic turnaround, the whole magical uprise of the African continent's economy. And back to you, Dr. Stephen Agyeifi Mensah. Let's look at, now we are taking STEAM and not STEM anymore, it's now STEAM.
Yeah.
You cited Dubai as what it is today, not because of STEM, but because of STEAM, because the A plays a very conclusive role in trying to make it what it is. Back to the African economy, assessing our prime, assessing our strengths and weaknesses. Let's share how STEAM brings out all together, both strengths and weaknesses, to get to where the Africa we want, was the Agenda 2063 that you mentioned. How does STEAM take us on this journey?
Okay. Yes. So in the Africa we want, Agenda 2026. One of the key aspirations is to achieve some high standard of living.
An Africa we want where there's inclusive growth.
Yes.
Where everybody contributes.
Yes. And within that, one of the key strategies is to see how science, technology, and innovation, for example, can drive us there.
Yes.
We need that as Africa because, in fact, S.T.E.M, I would say that S.T.E.M is, holds the potential, to open us up to the innovation that we need to be able to meet those that agenda.
Yes.
In terms of new products, in terms of new services, in terms of new processes. Then it is, altogether we can see that it can help Africa in terms of that agenda. But Africa, but within even the bigger global picture, as in the Sustainable Development Goals, of course, that influence a lot the African agenda.
Yes.
S.T.E.M stands. Let me say S.T.E.M is everything. Let me just give an example so that we are able to come home a little bit.
Absolutely.
Now, in design, or let's say in design, there's a concept referred to as biomimicry. Okay, biomimicry is all about trying to learn from nature and to be able to take what like the simple things nature teaches us, maybe like the design on a leaf. You understand? Maybe like the flow of a water course. How and to use that to inform the designs that we make.
Okay.
So if we would be able to develop infrastructure, if we'll be able to provide settlements, housing, and all these require a concerted use of science, technology, engineering, arts, as well as mathematics in solving these problems.
You mentioned that conclusively, the arts aspect of the whole STEM agenda is what brings to bear the commerce of it. Let's take Africa, for example, and let's pick tourism as our potential. And in making tourism our potential, let's try and bring a comprehensive outlook of how STEAM can transform tourism just for Africa's development. How do we do it in this case?
Okay. Tourism looks about various forms of anything, if you like. I'm not a tourist, but in my simple layman understanding, when we can provide the attraction, and the associated services, by which we spend leisure and then other aspects of our lives.
Sure.
Yes, and because I'm a builder, I always want to veer towards the direction.
Exactly what we need also. We need that as well.
Yes, and as I earlier indicated, buildings, for example, in particular, provide a long trail of attraction, for people.
Yeah.
Okay, and so from the Eiffel Tower to all the beautiful structures that now attract millions of people to the
travel, go and see the Eiffel Tower.
Travel, go and see. The beauty of the arts in there is the creativity, okay, that dimension that is given to the product. You understand? So by that creativity, I mean, yes, we can do all the engineering, we can do all the technology, we can mix all the concrete, but until we have the aesthetics, okay, which becomes appealing to, I mean, to somebody, yeah, it is just mortar and sand. I mean, it is just concrete, and nobody wants to see it. But if we add the art dimension to it, then we get the attraction component, which then will bring in the inflows that we think tourism can bring.
So now appreciating STEM at this moment, how well can we assess STEM and STEAM as contributors distinctively to shaping the future of Africa? STEM and STEAM, their contribution to shaping the future of Africa.
Okay. Maybe I would look at it first from the point of view of the transition to what is now called a circular economy. Okay, and then perhaps I will touch a little bit on what now has become known as the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah.
And how STEM actually comes in here.
Sure.
Now, globally, okay, until recently, like the systems for producing, for distributing, I mean, for consumption, you know, used to be just that, okay, we take from our environment, we kind of transform it into some useful product, and then we leave it out into the environment. You understand?
Yeah.
And that linear approach creates a huge amount of waste. You understand? Which is indeed a problem. And I think that we can take the case of Ghana, as an example. But STEM or STEAM is looking at the fact that, okay, now, if you like, whatever we are doing, let's look at it. Let's look at the end from the beginning. Okay? And then ensure that at the end of the process, we don't create that huge waste. Okay? That becomes even, a bigger problem for us than we thought. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So when we are producing, the electrical component and appliances, STEAM is supposed to think about it in a kind of a closed loop system. Okay, looking at what is going to happen to the end of this life of the product, so that we don't, at the end of the day, end up generating a lot of e-waste. Okay, a lot of electronic waste. Recently, there was some social media, clip that showed that one of the hotspots of pollution around is
e-waste.
Yes, e-waste. You understand? So STEAM then tells us to not just learning the science or not just learning the chemistry, but we are looking at how at the end of the day it contributes to quality of life for society. So from whether it is from the agricultural production or through our health to manufacturing and indeed everything, STEAM can take us there, as in helping us, effectively transition, to the demands of the circular economy, for example. And then, yes, there was recently, a rep of the Ministry of, of the Minister of Education was here to deliver a speech when we were launching our strategic plan. And in the speech, he really alluded to the issue of STEAM and STEM, saying that, yes, the first industrial revolution passed by us, the second passed by us, by Africa, the third perhaps also passed by us, but in the fourth industrial revolution, we are really poised, and we want to do everything to become partakers of that revolution. Whether it is in the benefits of robotics, or artificial intelligence, or machine learning, or whether it is, additive, manufacturing. STEM is the only, maybe if you like, approach to teaching and to learning that will be able to give us that critical thinking, that closed loop approach to production, and in the end, at the end of the day, help us to be able to create or to be part of the, like the creation revolution. So it helps us broadly with respect to the transition to, to a circular economy. Our participation in the fourth industrial revolution, and if you like, we can also be part of the global agenda of the sustainable development, goals. Yes.
It's been a great time with Dr. Stephen Agyeifi Mensah as we are discussing STEM and STEAM. But let me just do a quick takeaway with him, because it's always a good time to tap from him some good knowledge that we have to put down. Finally, on the wrap, if you were to outline the benefit of STEM and STEAM education to enhancing teaching and learning, what are you going to really put out there in terms of the key takeaways from STEAM and STEM in the aid or in the good, or instead of enhancing learning and teaching for students?
Okay, I think to begin with, it makes learning interesting. Okay, a STEAM approach to to teaching and learning would make learning interesting and enjoyable, rather than the old, tedious, boring, and sometimes monotonous way of learning things. And I think when I did chemistry down somewhere, one of the fascinating part of it was during a time when my chemistry teacher, actually we were going to have our 90th anniversary, and we needed to display some products that we have actually come up with. And I had learned in chemistry how using potash, okay, you can form soap. So we had done some chemistry about esters, as in oils, potash, and those things. And that's a typical cocoa farm boy. I had a lot of cocoa pods which had the potash, okay, which reacts with some other chemicals, actually to produce soap.
Okay.
And it was for me the most fascinating, and I think it's the only opportunity I had during that time when I was learning all that science of chemistry, to actually see that, the chemistry is not really as abstract and remote from reality as we see it. You see it. But it is something that we can use, the idea, okay, to really solve problems in society and to make our lives better than we do. And perhaps the interesting part of it is mathematics. During the days of mathematics, our teacher used to really try to give a lot of practical meaning to, and it made math so interesting. So that even when I didn't like it when I was in the early years of my study, when I was in the final year, he made math so interesting. Indeed, I came up, my best elective grade was in maths, because he could explain to you how you could use combination and permutation, okay, to dress. That if you had one suit and one trouser with a tie and one that, okay, if you had, let's say, two of them, you could use mathematics, combination and permutation, to really change your dress, at little cost. And that is of real use of mathematics. So I think it will make learning interesting. It will make learning practical, because it follows what we call a project-based approach to learning. That learning is centered around a particular project. But even more so, even now, there's even a transition from the project-based, where we formulate the problem for for the learners to a challenge-based approach where the students actually, that the problem evolves from the students. You understand? So it is self-expression. I mean, you are part of what you are doing. And I think it makes learning useful. At the end of the day, government investment in learning would become beneficial to all. We are not going to have students who would complete school and would have to still look up to government to be able to get employment. Yes, we can actually take away we can actually take out the unemployment problem when we adopt a STEM or a STEAM approach.
Great.
You know, to teaching and learning.
Great. And that's an amazing wrap with Dr. Stephen Agyeifi Mensah. He is the Dean for the Graduate School here at STEAM and also Senior Lecturer at the Building Technology Department here at STEAM. It's been very great and, you know, quite profound what he said that making learning interesting, trying to adopt to this paradigm shift where STEAM education brings out the innovation in people, critical thinking skills, and ability to now look for challenges, now create challenges ourselves, and then we solve them, driving the African economy to where it has to go. That is where Thomas Forces here on AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Agyeifi Mensah. We'll come your way in another episode. Keep staying with us, keep loving and growing the affinity towards higher education matters. That's what we do all the time here on AAU TV. Have a nice day and bye.